Hey Rockstar, Steve aka Void here, and I want to welcome you to this week's episode of Pajama Jam. So happy to have you here, really excited about tonight's episode. And first, let's get everyone in and make sure you let me know where you're watching from and that you can see and hear me clearly. So, cool, I see James is here. And no worries, buddy. It's all good. Different guitar players come in at different times, and definitely always happy to see you. So tonight's episode is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be focusing on, as you can see right over here, we've got Rush. So Canadian prog rock legends, Rush, and the spirit of radio. Very excited about this one because Rush has been a favorite of mine for a long time. Being Canadian, and I remember the first time that I heard 2112. I was originally a drummer, and it just blew my mind. It still blows my mind when I hear it. So very, very cool. So let me know where you're watching from. Let me know that you can see and hear me clearly. Cool. We've got James, Roger, Jim, Papa B, nice. Denis, Lance, awesome. Welcome, guys. So tonight's episode is going to be a lot of fun. A couple of quick updates before we get into the action. So first and foremost, I'm putting the finishing touches on the brand new jam space. So sorry, Facebook, there's going to be, we're going to have another place for guitar players to go to, and we'll still hang out on Facebook a lot, but I've got the brand new jam space that I'm putting the finishing touches on. I want to give you a quick little preview here. So it's a small little thumbnail, but it's a wicked forum, awesome jam space where we can chat about guitar. You can meet other guitar players just like you, and if you're in one of my programs and I'm coaching you, then we will have more organization, less distraction, and a ton of fun, and I'm really, really excited about that. So check out the new jam space. You'll be getting an invite for that very soon if you haven't already, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing you in there. I'm very excited about that, as well as I've got some new, for just in the spirit of Pajama Jams, I have some new Rockstar Mind jammies on their way, and those should be here tomorrow. So, oh man, I cannot wait. Oh, this way over here. Yeah, right here. Oh man, I am so stoked to get these. Very, very excited. Rockstar Mind jammies, and they should be coming here tomorrow. So definitely the next episode of Pajama Jam, I will have these jammies. I'll be rocking these jammies. So very stoked about that. And as usual, if you want my help to play songs faster and just learn how to become a self-sufficient learner where you learn on demand, then be sure to sign up for my Play From Day One waiting list. We've got the membership has to be closed because I'm spending so much time with the guitar players inside this program, and it takes time for me to onboard everybody, and it's basically an invite only program. But if you are looking to take your guitar playing up to the next level, then definitely be sure to check out my Play From Day One. So that's playfromday1.com. Get on the waiting list, and then you'll just answer a few questions, and if it feels like the right fit, then I'll contact you and we'll discuss next steps. So that is that. Great to see everyone here. We've got Steve, we've got Rocky, we've got Greg, awesome. We've got Tony. Welcome, guys. Very, very stoked about tonight's episode again, because this is Canadian prog rock legends, Rush, who I've had the pleasure of seeing live a couple times actually. And both times I heard them play this song, which is the focus of tonight's episode, which is the spirit of radio. So really stoked to be digging into that one because I've never really played this one. And yeah, it's one of the top Rush songs out there. So this is how Pajama Jams work. If it's your first Pajama Jam, basically I'm a new dad and I didn't really practice that much. I didn't have that much time to practice. And so what I did, I got this idea last year to come downstairs and practice at nighttime when everyone else was sleeping. And that's how I could develop my skills, because I have a guitar in my hand pretty much all day, but I'm either writing or I'm coaching, and developing my skills wasn't really a thing. So I thought if I come downstairs and I practice when everyone goes to sleep, then that'll be the best time. And I thought, well, I also broadcast videos from here, so why don't I just broadcast my practice session, and then I can just talk about what I'm thinking as I'm practicing, which if you watch that, then you'll be able to take the same ideas and put them into your practice session. So that was the concept of Pajama Jam. And if it's your first time, then welcome. Let me know if it's your first time here. And if you're a beginner guitar player, then what I want you to do is I want you just to kind of sit back and enjoy the ride. You're going to watch me play this riff or learn this riff in 30 minutes or less up to speed. And in doing that, I'm going to demonstrate a lot of the ideas that I share inside my book, Practice Less, Play More. And you can pick that up on Amazon. And basically all the ideas that I am going to be demonstrating today come from that book. So play from day one. Is the other way. Basically, there's sort of this concept that I have that instead of trying to match to the level of the song right away, what you do is you match the song to your level right away, and then you kind of build it up from there. So what you're going to see me do today is you're gonna, or I should say tonight, it's nighttime over here. You're gonna see me break it down into small chunks and go through a process and watch this process, because you can use this in your own practice sessions. And even though we want to be great guitar players, we also do have to know how to practice and be good practicers to some degree as well. But I want you to always focus on playing music. So what you're gonna see here is in 30 minutes or less, I'm going to, well, fingers crossed, play up to speed. I'm going to play this riff up to speed, and yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So for beginners, just sit back, watch, enjoy the ride, and if you're an intermediate player, you want to follow along with the tab, then you can totally do that too. But one important disclaimer, I'm not teaching this riff. I'm teaching how to learn any riff in this, okay? So I just want to make that clear, because you're going to, if you watch this thinking I'm going to teach you how to play this riff, then you might watch it and think, well, how come he's skipping over this part or skipping over that part? What I'm showing you is what a good practicer and a good player, how they structure the practice session so that you can do the same thing and learn songs faster yourself. Okay, so that is what we're going to do. I'm going to have a quick drink of water over here, and let's get started. What I did before this session was I completed a process called pre-practice. And that's where I gather all of the things that I need to effectively practice. One of those things is the tempo of the song. This tempo is 132 beats per minute. So I've got that loaded up in my metronome. Then I also have, just kind of wrote down the steps again. So pre-practice, no tempo practice, slow tempo practice, fast practice formula. And I'll get into that if you haven't heard of those things. And also, what did I do? Oh, I prepared the tab. So I have the songbook loaded up over here, and it's all ready to go for me. So when I sit down here, I'm ready to go. So I could start the timer, and I can just let her rip. Okay, so I want to make sure first that everyone could see and hear me clearly before we get into the next part here. And cool, awesome. I see Tommy's here. I see Jim is here. Great to see you guys. Awesome. So let me switch over to the next screen. Let me know if you can see this over here. So let's see if you can. Yeah, perfect. Okay, cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to my guitar cam. Okay, and I've got the tab over here. So I'm going to start the timer just to make it fair. Let's get the date over here. So 10. Yes, okay, so just over 30 minutes. Okay, so we've got the countdown timer over there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to scan through the riff. All I'm doing is playing this top riff over here, and I'm going to aim to do it 4 times in a row. Now, basically, the quick scan is I'm just looking through to make sure that nothing looks odd. Now, before, this happens usually in pre-practice, and I noticed that there was this kind of weird section in here. One really important principle in my methodology, which is practicing less and playing more, is learning songs that you love. And so I love this song, I love this riff, I know this really well. And so the reason why I drew this box around here is because when I'm thinking about the riff, It's a sort of like da 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 da. When I went through it, there was actually some weirdness. I would actually kind of put a box around this part here too, but in the tab here, it goes ba-da-dum, ba-da-da-da-da-da-dum, ba-da-da-da-dum. And what's funny is when I listen to the riff, I didn't hear that up until today. But part of my pre-practice was just to listen to the riff again to get it back in my head. And so soon what I'll do is I'll play the riff, I'll play the music, not while we're broadcasting on Facebook, but soon I'll be broadcasting and I'll just share that riff. And basically we would listen to it at this point. So you would hear that riff and you'd listen to it slowly, you'd listen to it up to speed, just so you could kind of get that in your ear. Now, so I'm quickly scanning through and I noticed that there's this weird part, and it's also in this section over here too, but I put it here just so I watch out for that. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do what's called no tempo practice, and I'm going to use my Jazz 3 pick, my Dunlop Jazz 3, because this part is faster. So I'm going to use that pick because it's just going to be it's going to give me more control. Now let me actually move this a bit here because this has to do with this part of the fretboard, the lower part over here. So what no tempo is I'm basically just going to go through this kind of like the quick scan, where I kind of go through slowly with my eyes, just looking for any weirdness, and it just looks like it's pull-offs. That's what this riff looks like, just pull-offs. Okay, which is cool because I haven't really focused on a riff that has all these pull-offs in it. It's kind of like a Thunderstruck style riff. And so what I'm going to do is with no tempo practice, I'm going to now experience it without any pulse. So I'm going to scan through it, but I'm going to go through it just without any pulse. So it's going to be slow some parts, it's going to be fast in some parts, but it's just at my own pace so that I can see if there's anything weird and kind of get a feel for this. So, okay, let me know if you have any trouble hearing the guitar here. Okay, and I don't have to really repeat it because that happens again. This is basically the riff right here. So that's no tempo practice, and I know that I'm not going to be able to play that up to speed just like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do slow tempo practice, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on one little section. So here, let's say, and for some reason the tab is kind of like earthquaking a little bit, but that's okay. So I'm going to just take this section here, and I'm just going to play this small little chunk, it's called. I'm going to play a chunk, and I'm going to go like this. I'm just going to play it steady, and that's slow tempo practice. As slow as I need to go without making a mistake. So I complete that, and now I move to what's called the fast practice formula, and I'll put that on the screen over here just so you have it as a reference. My fast practice formula, the principle is you play 3 times without making a mistake, or that's so 3xWMM, 3 times without making a mistake. And then what you can do is you can move on after that to increase the speed, increase the amount, or increase the complexity. You usually choose one of those. Okay. Now, so let's see what happens here. I played it 1 time without making a mistake. So that's 2 times. That's 3 times. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to move on to more. I'm going to increase the amount. So I'm actually going to increase the amount to that much. So I'm going to go. That's 2. That's 3. Okay, now I'm going to move on to the next part. Okay, that's 1, 2, 3. Okay, and now let's look at this weirdness inside the red box here. So again. So that's 3 times without making a mistake. And it's kind of boring, I mean, in a way, because it's so predictable. This is what I want your practice to be. Not that it's not enjoyable, but more that it's just predictable. You just know what steps to do in order to learn it. So just so there's no surprises, first you scan through, you see where you're going, you see if there's anything weird. So you're on the road, see if there's any closures or roadblocks or anything, and then you just kind of go bit by bit. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to combine the chunks. So I'm going to increase the amount here, because I played 3 times without making a mistake. And let's go like that, same speed. So, oh, actually, I made a mistake there. See, I thought that it actually had an extra note here, and that might might screw me up. Also, I don't really care if I add an extra note there. If I'm playing along with it and it sounds good and it feels good to me, I actually don't even really care. But this here, that's what the tab at least says. This is what the songbook says. Okay, that's 2. Okay, that's 3. Okay, and then let's see this ending here. I could see changing up this ba-da-da-da-da, this little pull-off thing. I could see that being changed when it starts to get faster, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Okay, now let's see what happens if I play this faster. So I'm going to increase the speed of this part here. So let's listen to the target tempo. So, okay, yeah, it's really fast, right? So what I'm going to do is it's 132. I'm actually going to bring that down to, let's see, 100. Okay, and I'm just going to go for it with this chunk. So it should go ba-da-da-da-da-da-da. Oh, actually, right here. So it should go ba-da-da-da-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da, like that. Okay, and you can do it at any point. You can have as many clicks as you want in between, but it's about getting it 3 times without making a mistake. 1 time would be kind of lucky. 2 times might still be luck. 3 times in a row without making a mistake, that means that you got it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase the speed by 5 BPM. So I recommend when you get it 3 times without making a mistake and you increase the speed, you increase it by 3 to 5 BPM, because that's how your fingers don't really notice the difference. And more importantly, your mind doesn't notice the difference. So okay. Notice how I don't try connecting all 3 in a row, like without any gaps, because that's actually requiring too much stamina at this point, and so I put the clicks in between. So I go up by 5, so I'm going to go 110. So I just take a second to collect my thoughts here. So. Okay, I actually did 4 times in a row without making a mistake, but anyway, so there. Move on to faster speed. Okay, so you can see I'm just increasing the speed here. I just want to see if there's any tension that builds up at any speed. I have to get, my goal is 132, I'm at 120, so. Okay, so and then I'm going to go 125. Feeling pretty good so far. Okay, there's a mistake, so I reset the counter back to 0. So okay, cool, 3 times. So notice how when I made a mistake, I got to reset the counter back to 0, because the rule is 3 times without making a mistake before moving on. Does that make sense so far, guys? I just want to make sure I don't lose anybody. That I'm just breaking it into chunks and then I'm kind of like building it back up. But whenever I make a mistake, I got to reset the back to 0. So I have to play 3 times without making a mistake. I either increase the speed, I increase the amount, or I increase the complexity. And I'll give you some examples as well. I'm just going to kind of keep going here because I'm racing against time here. So 125 was good. I'm going to go 1. Because it's 132, I'm just going to go all the way for 132. Okay, so. Okay, I'm noticing like a little bit of tension building up, but it's not bothering me just yet. So that part's pretty good. Let me just go through it one more time here. Yeah, okay, that feels pretty good. Okay, now this next part. What I'm going to do, I kind of know that this section is going to be a little bit of a problem. I can tell at this speed it's probably going to be a problem. So what I'm going to do is, instead of doing this ba-da-da-da-da, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go like this. I'm not going to go, not just yet, and maybe not at all. But anyway, I'm just going to first go like this. So the first one was, the next one's going to go, something like that, okay? But let's put it into practice here. I'm going to go to like 110. And let me actually review just this chunk here, because there is a slight difference. So, whoops, right here. So I'm going to go. Okay, so that feels good. I'm just going to kind of go for it. Sometimes on Pajama Jam, I go for it. If I was just practicing it just myself, I might be a little bit more meticulous. I'm going to delete that there. So let's see here. And remember, I'm going to kill this second fret here. So I'm going to get rid of that second fret. So I'm going to go. Okay, I did it 4 times, but anyway, you get the point. It's you want to make sure that you do it at least 3 times without making a mistake. I don't want to do it 7 times. I don't want to overload it or over practice it. At 3 times, that's when it usually is good to go. So, okay. That feels pretty good. Okay, so 120. Okay, that feels good. 125. Okay, so that feels good. And I'm just keeping it kind of like 1 finger per fret over here because that's feeling pretty good so far. And I'll just go to 132 just to the target tempo. Okay, so that feels pretty good. So far, okay, I got 18 minutes left. So far, that's pretty good. I'm keeping the tone pretty clean, even though it says with distortion and flanger. Because if I could play this with clean guitar and make sure that it sounds good, then with the distortion and the flanger, that's just going to enhance the sound. Oh, I thought it actually was a phaser. Okay, so it's a flanger. So I'll see if I can get that going in a sec on my system over here. But okay, so we've got those 2 parts. Now I'm just going to kind of like, I'm going to refresh this chunk, refresh my memory here. Third time. Always feel free to play it slow. I mean, you could do whatever you want. Just, when you're playing it, the problem with practicing usually is if you're playing it super fast and you're just playing it too fast and you can barely hold on, and then you just go until you make a mistake and you go back to the beginning. And then you go until you make a mistake and you go back to the beginning. It's just not effective. So this way that I'm doing is very strategic, very methodical, and just really aware of how I'm feeling and the tension. And that's what allows for me to decide, okay, what am I going to do next? But also the fast practice formula, that's what dictates. That's like the engine. Which makes sure that I'm playing the right things. Or actually, it's more like the steering wheel. I can steer through the practice session. Okay, so what I'm going to do, now I'm going to just refresh my memory on this one. With that exception, I'm going to get rid of that second fret in the middle. So it's pretty much the same. The first one was, the next one is, it's very similar. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go back to no tempo practice. I'm actually going to jump back. Sometimes we do kind of weird things here when it's a little bit more of an advanced technique, but I'm going to kind of like stitch it together. So now that I've been exposed to it, I can kind of see like the first parts, ba-da-da 5, ba-da-da 4, ba-da-da 5, ba-da-da 4. So I can kind of think like, I could take all the zeros out. 2, 3, 5, 3, 2, 3, 4, 3. Take all the zeros out and just kind of press the buttons almost. And then when I go like this, I could picture those as targets. 2, 3, 5, 3. So 2, 3, 5, 3. 2, 3, 4, 3. Okay, so that's, I kind of stitched that together. It's a little bit more of an advanced technique. Another way to do it is something called puzzle piecing, and I could totally tell you about that. You can ask me about that maybe when we're in the Q&A section after the Pajama Jam is done. But I'm racing against the clock here. So let's do this. Sometimes what I want to do, let's go at maybe a faster speed and let's see where we're at, if I can keep up with this here. So yeah, so I feel a little bit of tension, so I'm actually going to slow down to 115. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to play this all as one chunk, one time, like this. Okay. Okay, again. Okay, so and I'm taking a deep breath here. I'm remembering to breathe. You don't want to hold in your breath because then you get tense. And your mind gets tense and your muscles get tense again. You know, it's just this weird, you know, it's not a good cycle to get into. So I played 3 times without making a mistake. I'm going to go up by 5 here, 120. And remember, the whole time I'm just kind of thinking this. This sort of thing. Like that. Okay, I actually did too much there. So I'm going to count that as a mistake. So back to 0. So... Okay, 1, 2, okay, 3. Let's keep going. I'm going to try to get this to the full speed, and then I'm going to start connecting the whole thing. And then at the end, I'll add the little flare here. Okay, but right now, let's just see if we can get the whole thing here. So, oh, whoops, I'll count that as a mistake. So. No, another mistake. Okay, so I'm going to play slower. That's just too fast. Go back to 120. So 2MR, as you can see on the poster there, 2MR is 2 mistakes in a row. You go back. You decrease the speed or decrease the amount or decrease the complexity. So I got to decrease the speed here. So, okay, that's 1. Okay, 2. 3. Okay, let's go back up. Let's go back up by 3. So, yeah, 2, 3. Okay, going up by 3s because that's a little more subtle. It doesn't feel like the tempo's changing at all. It just feels like I'm practicing more, but the speed is changing. Okay, 1, 2. 3. Okay, go up by 3. 1. Whoops, no, that's a mistake there. So back to 0. Yeah. 2. Okay, that's 3. Now up to the target tempo, 132. Take a deep breath. 2. Okay, 3. Low battery warning on the phone. Okay, so that's so I got that one time. Now let's connect it. Let's do it 2 times in a row. The whole riff. I'm going to increase the amount. I'm going to decrease the speed actually. So let's go to 120. And actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just connect to the first note again. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play the whole riff. I'm going to start on the first one just to make sure that I get that transition down. So. Just to that. Okay, then one more time. Okay, now I'm going to do 2 times in a row because I practiced that transition. So in theory, I should be able to play it twice in a row. Okay, and I did the next transition there, but that's okay. So I'll count that as 1. That's 2. Cool. Okay, 3 times in a row. Now I'm going to actually just jump up to 132. I have 11 minutes left, but I've got to play this 4 times in a row. So I just want to kind of boogie over here. So, okay, that's 1. Okay, 2. Cool. Okay. Yeah, that's 3 times in a row. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to kind of just go for it. Play 3 times, or 4 times in a row. I'm just going to do it 4 times, the whole thing, up to speed. Let's just see what happens here. Whoops, no, there's a mistake there, so. Cool, okay, that's 4 times. Okay, great. So now again. Cool. And 2 times. Okay, and last one. Cool. At that point, that I could be done right now. I could be finished right now, but I want to see what this part's like. That weird little thing there, because I actually didn't, before today, I didn't even hear that. I didn't even know that that happened. I thought it was just, not this, I didn't hear this little thing here, so feeling pretty cool about that. I think that sounds great, and I think that if it's clean right now, then with distortion and flanger, it'll sound even better. We'll explore that in a second, but let's get this weird part down. So I'm just going to go back and never, don't feel bad about like stepping back, stepping back. And now I'm going to slow it down, and I'm just going to go, even though I just played the part 4 times in a row, let's hear this and build this up. Notice I do 3 times in a row without making a mistake, right? 3 times without making a mistake before moving on. I'm at 110, so let's see. Okay, wow. Okay, so let's see, 115. Okay. Okay, is that 3? I can't even remember. Okay, so now 3 times in a row without making a mistake. Okay, move on to 120. Okay, no, that wasn't good. So, yeah. Okay, cool, 125. So I do 3 times without making a mistake. Okay. Okay, and let's just go all the way up to the target. Is this helpful, guys, by the way? Or like watching me practice and going through this step by step? Okay, so 3 times. Now, now I'm going to increase the amount. I'm just going to actually go just a little bit. So. Okay. Let's go back to 120. Okay. I don't feel that bad about that. That's okay. I'll move on. Let's see what we got here. So okay. And let's just go to the target tempo. Okay. Now let's just increase the amount. So 3 times without making a mistake. Increase the amount. Okay. So yeah. It's actually easier to play more because it sounds like the song. So, okay, cool. So now we got that. Now let's just integrate it back with the riff. This one's pretty crazy. So I'm gonna actually review it without. I'm just gonna go back to my muscle memory of without that part. So. No, actually, I screwed up the muscle memory. Now I'm in limbo with it. I'm just gonna go for it. 120. Let's go 120. I'll just do the whole riff with the thing. That's so funny. The brain is so fascinating. I hit a block right there because I just developed this. This is what happens when you have a good practice method. Is you actually write it in, you program it in to your mind. So when you try something different, it's actually you hit a bit of a block because you did the other part so thoroughly. So okay. Okay, cool. So now 125, almost 5, a little over 5 minutes left. So cool. Cool. Building momentum. I'm feeling confident now. I'm going to go all the way to the target tempo. Yeah. Cool. Yes, feel really good about that. Okay, so now here's the test. Is I'm gonna now just play the first note of the riff. Okay, yeah. So yeah. Okay, cool. Now I'm gonna play the riff. Okay, not bad. Okay, again. Okay. Now the test is I'm going to slow it all down. I'm going to just see if I can connect that. Yeah, so okay, that's so I'm just kind of getting the feel of what it's going to be like going through repeating it. Yeah, okay, so I feel really good about that. I think one of those was the right speed, so let's see what we got. So yes, there, my friends, is the Spirit of Radio opening riff 4 times in a row with the little frilly bit. Ba-da-da-da-da-da. I feel really good about that. So I'm gonna say that one, boom, stamped, is done, is learned. That's I'd shout out loud, but people are sleeping, and I don't want to wake up the baby. So that's I'm going to add, just sort of as a bonus. I'm going to add distortion, and I'll see if I could put a flanger on. Because now that we've got the riff, yeah, you'll even hear that it's gonna sound more like the riff. Awesome, thanks guys, thank you for the love. So I'm going to change the sound over here. Let's see, let's put a phaser on. I don't even know if I have a flanger on here. I can't remember. Let me just see real quick if I have a flanger. Oh, meta flanger. Maybe this might work. Meta flanger. Let's see. It might crash the computer, but let's see. No, just for now, actually, I'm gonna put a phaser. So I'm not gonna be precious with it. I'll just put a phaser because I haven't loaded up, and I'll just put the distortion up just a little bit. Okay. So let's hear what it sounds like now that I practiced it with the actual with clean and with, see what I did? Like I practiced it with clean. Now I'm gonna play it with the record, with the sound of the record, like with the guitar tone, because now that I practiced it cleanly, I know that it's gonna be as clear as possible. So all this other stuff's just gonna enhance it. So let's see what happens here. Yeah, that's great. That sounds like it. So yeah. How does it go? Yeah, the Geddy Lee part. Or whatever it is. Anyway, that's cool. That sounds really good. Cool. Yeah, that was fun, man. Oh yeah, I love that. I had a feeling it was going to be fun, but that was when you hear it with the actual tone. I think that it's yeah, that was. I didn't know that it was going to be that fun. And a lot of times that's when it really comes to life, because you start hearing what you want to hear and what it's supposed to sound like. Where it was fun with the clean sound, but as soon as you put on the distortion and the phaser, it really brings it to life. So all the work that you did in practicing, now there's the payoff. Okay, and yeah, that was great. So did you guys like that? Did you see how? Well, first of all, there's a lot of things that we did here. Whoops, and my water bottle just fell. There's a lot of things that we did here besides flood the floor. Both in the methodology of kind of preparing for the session, so that the majority of the session is just spent on playing, like actually practicing and building up the skills, so that you can play at the end very quickly. And then you see how I build it up with no tempo practice, slow tempo practice, the fast practice formula, and then see I'm playing clean for the majority of the session while I'm building it up, and I would say to do that for the most part, because it's going to really help you hear any of the inconsistencies. Not to be a perfectionist or anything like that. It's just going to help you along the way. And then when you put the distortion on and put the phaser on, you're laughing because that was great. So far I think this is my favorite one, where it's just, whoa, the tone, it sounds a lot like the intro of the record. Anybody who knows this record, I think that light switched on at that point when I put that phaser and the distortion on. So that was a real treat. I really enjoyed that. I hope you guys did too. Once again, if you want to learn how I did what I just did, then be sure to check out my book, Practice Less, Play More, where I go through the same process that I just went through there. And if you already have the book, then first of all, thank you for your support, and definitely check out the sections, especially Chapter 7. Just go through that again, where you're seeing how to structure a practice session, and as well part 2 of the book, which talks about that. And if you want my help to if you want my help to help you, I was just reading the comments. Sorry. If you want my help to employ these into your playing, and if you aren't already part of my Play from Day One program, then I'll just put a link right here. Where is it? It's so hard to point on this. So it's right here. So if you go to playfromday1.com, then you can put your name you can add the name to the waiting list. So add your name to the waiting list, and I can help you to start piecing this together and getting these same results in your playing. I mean, you don't have to have a 30-minute countdown timer on there and practice in the dark or anything like that. But if you need my help, then I'm definitely here to coach you. And I know a lot of our members are here tonight, and it's very cool to see familiar faces. And if this is your first Pajama Jam, then definitely welcome. I'm very excited for you to see that process. And I'm a little bit flustered in a sense because, I mean, the adrenaline is sort of pumping, and I mean, racing against the clock 30 minutes, then I look again and there's like 6 minutes left, and I still want to get that sort of frilly bit, where like that I didn't even know existed, and I've heard this song so many times, and you might find that. Have you ever found that when you learn a song on guitar and you listen to it and you've heard the song for years, but you'd never really heard it before? Like, there was so many details that were there the whole time, but you just missed them. In this one, I totally missed that. I thought it was da 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 da, but it's da 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 da. There's this little ba da da da, and I didn't even hear that. There's like a triplet in there. I didn't even hear it until tonight. So it was a lot of fun getting that happening on the guitar, and then to add the effects to it. I really enjoyed that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to look through the chat and see if there's any questions or anything like that. And if you have any questions, then be sure to ask. I'm going to hang out for another about 15 or so minutes, and I can answer any questions that you might have. Consider this one pretty much done. Like, I'm really happy about this victory. This was a bit patriotic, I guess. And yeah, let's see what we got over here. So, okay, cool. Yeah, thanks for the love, guys. Steven, that was good. Rocky, awesome. Pete, that's Neil hitting his sticks at 132 BPM. Awesome. Yeah, I remember seeing Neil Peart's Rhythm Method solo for the first time as a drummer. I was just like I couldn't believe it. My jaw just hit the floor. Tommy, great job. Steve, awesome. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. Ken, how's it going, buddy? Glad you can make it. Okay, and yeah, amazing how much tone can change the feel. 100%, Steve. Rocky, love to see your passion. Thanks, buddy. Yeah, I mean, that was all passion there at the end. I mean, like, because I wasn't expecting to see the for it to sound as good as it did with the effects. Like, it just really brought it to life. So that's a real treat. Thank you, Pete. Well done, sir. Really put some images to the book. Okay. Yes. Alex plays the riff. Yes. Effortlessly. Alex Lifeson. I haven't met him yet. I've been to his bar in Toronto. I believe it's still there, the Orbit Room, and definitely a cool place. A lot of great musicians there. some workarounds for me. Oh, yeah, Steve, the workarounds on For Whom the Bell Tolls. So I'll check that out, and I'll get to that in just a sec. What kind of computer program do you use? So Rocky, what do you mean so what computer program do you mean for my guitar effects? Is that what you mean? I think that's what you mean. So if that's what you mean, I have something called a UAD Apollo Twin, and it's a pretty pricey sound card. I'm also a songwriter and producer, so I need to have a pretty powerful sound card and interface. So the Apollo Twin basically comes with some amps, and you could buy some amps. So this one's a Marshall Jubilee, and it's supposedly modeled after the actual Marshall. And I just like the sound of it. It's not my favorite amp in the world, but I like the sound of that one for tonight's episode. And then there's a plugin called Phase Mistress, which I used for the phaser, even though technically it's a flanger on the record. Who cares, right? It's just, that sounded good to me. And I also have a reverb called Valhalla Room, and that was the reverb that was being used. So, but I recommend, if you want like an all-in-one solution, you can get Guitar Rig by Native Instruments. You can get Tone Bridge, which I think is by Ultimate Guitar, which is a free one. I recommend that. I think that there's some good sounds on there, and just check that out. Like, even try out some demos if you want to try. But it's really cool how digital distortion caught up. You know, it used to sound really, really bad, and it sounds good now. It sounds, a lot of guys use digital effects on stage now. And don't have the blaring amps. And sometimes, I hate to be, sort of like spoiler over here, but sometimes the amps that you're seeing on stage, those are empty, because it makes the stage more quiet, where the musicians can hear what they're doing better in their in-ears. Things changed a lot over the years, and so sometimes for some bands, it actually, there are amps and it's a wall of amplifiers like in the 80s, but for some bands, those are just props, and the sound is coming from either one amp on the side or like a digital sort of situation. Okay, and yeah, Pete says step outside and wake up the neighborhood. So it's like, yeah, this doesn't wake anyone up, because this is basically what it sounds like to everyone else. It's just this. It's like, it's just playing like this. So, but to you guys, you hear the amp, and that's by design. That's sort of pajama jam styles. So, cool, Papa B. Have a good night, buddy. So, awesome, and no problem, Rocky. Okay, cool. So I promised one of my VIP members and new friends, Steve, that I would show him this sort of some workarounds for Whom the Bell Tolls by Metallica. And let me just get this back in my hands here. Yeah, so, okay. What I'll do here, I'll put some reverb on, and I'll actually put some distortion a little bit higher, so, yeah. That's about the speed and flow of For Whom the Bell Tolls. So, okay. First thing, so Steve, your feedback from your video that you sent me, it was good. One thing to watch out for is just make sure that you're always doing alternate picking on this one. And if you watch the video that you sent me, you can see how you didn't. There were 2 downs in a row, and then it kind of threw off the flow. And so when you started it the next time, it was an upstroke, and it should have been a downstroke. So that kind of like could easily screw up the flow. So what you're gonna do is you're using the right fingers, which is good, but you're gonna make sure that you're going, and I want you to say it out loud too. And even if you do it slowly, down, up, down, up, down, up. Just make it through one cycle of that. Down, up, down, up, down, up. Down, up, down, up, down, up. That's one of the things I want you to do. So, and if you want, you could even palm mute a little bit. So you could go, but you're saying it out loud. Down, up, down, up, down, up. Even 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Or 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And you could split that up in threes. You can go. just practice that 3, and then that 3. And then you could connect the two by doing baby steps. You can go like this. Because the struggle with this one, I think, comes from like the constant, which takes a lot of stamina. And so what you can do is build it up. I would go like this. If you're doing this fingering here, you'd go in this location. You'd go down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, and then so that's inside the strings. You're in between the 2 and 3, second and third string, and then the other one is kind of I guess in a way outside the strings, but you're going 1, 2, 3, down, up, down, down, up, down. So you get the 2 little chunks. You do it 3 times in a row without making a mistake. 3 times in a row without making a mistake. And then you put either, there's different ways. I mean, you maybe just go for it. And you get that little chunk, down it becomes a mega chunk. Or I would do baby steps. And the way baby steps works is you would take this first chunk, and it could be any speed, and then you just add the next note, just one note. What you'll find is sometimes you'll find the note that's screwing everything up. It might be that note, that roll. It might be that note that you're playing that screws it up, and that might be the part that you have to just kind of work around. But I wanted to show you first, I wanted to toss that out there because I don't know what's going to be the exact answer for you just yet. I'm going to toss that out there. You do a couple of experiments, send it back, and then I'll know. But I wanted to just show you that part there. But I think that this is actually how you'll play it. Which is a little bit more like a scale. And I don't know, I'm getting a message here about the stream quality being lowered because the internet connection is not fast enough. I hope that nobody is watching Netflix over here. But here, check this out. If you go like this, 12 on the third string, 12, 9, 11, 12, 9, 11 here. And then the only note that you switch strings on is this pinky on the 12th fret of the 4th string. Down, up, down, up. So you go 12, 9, 11, 12. And then you go, so here are the 3 and 3 of this is 1, 2, 3. So 12, 9, 11. And then 12, 9, 11. So it's actually, this way makes a lot more sense to me because you're going 12, 9, 11, and then 12, 9, 11. It's always the same pattern. Do you see how this one makes more sense? 12, 9, 11, 12, 9, 11, 12, 9, 11, 12, 9, 11. And the first 12 is here on the 3rd string, the next 12 is here on the 4th string. Like that. Cool. Later, buddy. Later, Pete. I see that you have to get going. So here. So even though it's written like that in the book where we have this, I would actually go like this. Like this, because this way is more comfortable for me without any rolls. And it's actually a little bit thicker because of the thicker strings. But see what's more comfortable for you. I would check this one out where you're playing a pattern that makes more sense to the brain. 12, 9, 11, and then 12, 9, 11, 12, 9, 11, 12, 9, 11. Okay, so give that a shot. Does that answer your question, Steve? I personally think that that's a more logical approach, but and I'm just gonna with my foot over here get my water back, and just let me know if that makes sense. Okay. And if anyone has any other questions, please let me know. Take the opportunity to get a question here live with video. Okay, cool. Awesome, Steve. Very cool. Yeah, I think that second one that I showed you is going to work a lot better. Okay. Cool. So let's just make sure that we're good here. All right, and let me know if there's any other questions. Once again, in case you missed it, The new jam space is coming soon. This is for all of my the bandmates in the band coaching program, for my Play From Day One members. And also, if you're not a member of any of my coaching programs, then you could still join the jam space. There'll be different rooms that you can access with some of my free resources, and you can watch Pajama Jam replays, make requests for songs for upcoming episodes. And so that'll be coming soon, way more organized and way more suited for learning guitar without any distractions like you might find on certain sites, certain social media sites that I won't mention. So, and then tomorrow, in case you missed it, I'm going to be getting my new Rockstar Mind jammies, special jammies for Pajama Jam. I'm really, really excited about that. I hope they fit. These pajamas are super comfortable. My Cookie Monster is very comfortable, but these ones, these should be good. So I can't wait. I'll let you guys know when I get those. And once again, if you want my help, if you want me to coach you personally, then make sure to add your name to the Play From Day One waiting list. Let me see if I can get this going again. Yeah, right there. So it's hard to point when I see the screen like this. So it's hard to, so playfromday1.com, playfromday1, that's number 1.com. Add your name to the waiting list. I'll let you know as soon as the spot opens up for you, and then we can discuss next steps. Right now, I'm spending the majority of my time bringing in new members. So it's a closed membership, and I'm just working with the new members and getting them comfortable with the process. And so I'll get to I'll get to you as soon as it possibly can with on the waiting list. So if you put your name there, then just know that I haven't forgotten about you. But I'll let you know as soon as the spot opens up, because my time is limited, and it's I want to do really good work, so I spend a lot of time with the people inside the program. So anyway, that is what's going on over here. If you have any other questions, please let me know. I'll stay on for another minute or so here, and then we'll wrap this thing up. That was a lot of fun. I'm definitely going to check out the replay and watch as I built that up, because I think I did a lot of things in here. This was textbook, practice less, play more methodology, textbook, fast practice formula, and the results kind of speak for themselves. So I'm very excited about that. Greg, good night, buddy. See that you got to go. Awesome. All right, well, let's wrap it up for tonight. Thank you so much for joining me for tonight's episode. This will be posted in the same spot that you found it. And you'll find the replay, and soon I'll have all the replays kind of in one place archived inside the new jam space. Keep an eye out for that. And again, if you need anything, just reach out to me, support@rockstarmind.com. You can send me a message on Facebook, Steve aka VØID. And that's pretty much it. So I hope that you have a great night, great morning, great afternoon, depending on where you are in the world, and we'll catch you later. Take care.